Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our now annual event, our Applying to University webinar. And we're always delighted to welcome our friend Gemma Standen from the University of East Anglia. Hi, Gemma. How are you? You're well? Good. Excellent. And also joining us, some of you who were here last year will recognise Kirsten Buckler, who's the National Extension College UCAS guru. You're now getting that title all the time, aren't you, Kirsten? So brilliant. So if you know NEC, welcome. If you're new to NEC, we've got a couple of slides to run through just to explain who we are, how our model of learning works. Then Kirsten's going to run through how we support students with their UCAS applications. So that will be sort of a bit of technical information around how we operate and how we can support you. And then we've got a great section from Gemma, looking really at it from the university side. So what is it they do? What do they expect? And how do they support you from your application through to those first early weeks, really, when you join university? So hopefully it will answer lots of your questions throughout the session. But if you do have questions, either note them down and we'll have a Q&A at the end. Or if you want to type them in to the chat, please do. We may come to them at that moment if it feels right, or we might leave it until the end and do a big wash up of questions. So, so whichever way you feel comfortable doing. I didn't introduce myself. I'm Esther. I'm the head of the National Extension College. So I'll just run through, as I said, a little bit about the college. So we were established a long time ago in the 1960s.
What is it like to learn online?
Hold on a second, wait for the video. And we've been running courses, A-levels, GCSEs for the last 60 years, which is wonderful. And we've supported so many students to reach their goals, whether their goal is university, whether it's improving their grades for employment, or whether it's out of interest to study a subject or to move on to apprenticeships. So it's really about your goals, the way that you want to study. So we're flexible online learning, really giving the opportunity to study in the way that works for you. I will now play the video, so hopefully it'll tell you a little bit more about how you study with the National Extension College.
With NEC. When you learn online with NEC, you're in charge. You can study when, where and how you like, alongside your other commitments. You set your own study timetable. As an educational charity, our main aim is to support you throughout your course. Start by choosing the course you want to study, then enroll online or by phone. Our experienced and friendly course advice team are here to advise you. We offer flexible payment plans to help you spread the cost of your course. Your highly qualified personal tutor will guide and help you progress. We'll send you login details so you can start your course. Our Getting Started section will help you find your way around. Our high-quality learning materials are developed by experts who know what you need to learn and practice to succeed. You can access your course at any time. Share ideas with other students on the discussion forums. Study your course online in a way that suits you, or print resources and study offline. Courses have a clear structure with sections and topics. At the end of each section, you'll complete and submit an assignment to your tutor. Your tutor will give you valuable feedback to help you progress. Assignments give you essential practice in answering exam-type questions. We can mark non-examined assessment, such as coursework and practical science endorsements. When you've completed the course, you'll have achieved your goal and valuable skills as an independent learner. As your next step, talk to our course advice team if you have any questions. When you're ready, enroll online or by phone. Remember, NEC is here to help you achieve your goals.
Great, so hopefully that gave you a little bit of an overview of how our model of learning works. We're very busy at the moment, lots of students who are looking to study in a more flexible way. And as it said there, it really develops really sort of strong independent learning skills, which I think Gemma may talk about when she talks about when you transition to university. So our learners really are well set up to enable them to study in a way that suits higher education as well. We've got a number of what we call career tracks or particular sort of guidance around moving into a specialist career. These tend to be the most popular ones that we have, but we're developing more all the time. But many of these will really help you understand what the different routes to those careers could be for you, and to help you plan a route that is suitable for you, whether it's you need just another GCSE and you're going in through a foundation programme, or whether you're looking at studying A-levels and moving in at the undergraduate level. So they're really useful guides, and you can find those on our website. And if you want some inspiration, really always lovely to hear and see from our students. We're always proud of our students, and we've been capturing lots of really inspirational, motivational stories that will help you see the different routes people take to enable them to reach their the qualifications that they are looking to take. And this could be a mature student who's perhaps stepping back into education, or somebody who stepped out of school because it's not quite suitable for them. Or it could be looking back after a few years and thinking, actually, I want to change career. I want to move into medicine, or I want to move into dentistry. And then what's the route to do that? So going back to our career tracks. So we've got some lovely stories there, which hopefully will inspire you. It might not be specific subjects that you want to study, but the motivation, the journey, and just learning around how people have approached studying in a flexible way might help you understand whether it's right for you or not. I'm going to hand over to Kirsten now, who's just going to talk through how NEC helps our students with the application process for university. And Kirsten, you'll just have to give me a nod when you want me to move the slide on.
Lovely, thank you, Esther. So yeah, as Esther said, we do provide our students with support alongside their UCAS applications. Obviously, the first port of call for students would be the UCAS Hub, which is where they can start all of their research and will actually complete their application. But alongside that, our UCAS team here will help them with elements such as the reference and predicted grades, and we can also offer advice and guidance on the personal statement element of the application, as well as simply talking them through how to fill that application in. Because if you've never done something like that before, it can be quite daunting. There are a lot of sections to it. So we do have step-by-step advice on our learning platform on that aspect of the whole process too. So Esther, if you'd like to move forward, I'll go through the different services that we've got. So the first one there that's mentioned is the personal statement. UCAS are changing the format of the personal statement this year, so it's going to be slightly different to the format that's been used before, in that there are now 3 directed questions for students to answer instead of one piece of free text. Hopefully this will allow students to sort of focus their answers a little bit more, be guided by those questions, so that the universities are seeing the information that they actually want in those personal statements. And as I say, we've got there's a wealth of information on the UCAS Hub to help you with that new format, but we've also got guidance as well. And we do have that personal statement review service where one of our tutors will take a look at your personal statement and give you advice and guidance on how you could improve that, or areas that you might want to focus on, or maybe things that they think you've missed out on. So really useful service there if you're a little bit worried about whether you're including the right things in your personal statement or not. We also have our predicted grades and references service. So they are what they say. If you need a predicted grade to go alongside your application, then providing you've completed enough of the course assignments that make up part of your course, then your tutors will be able to provide a predicted grade for you. And they can also provide academic comments to go into a reference. Now that may be NEC acting as your referee, or it could be somebody else acting as your referee. We'll work with you to make sure that that reference reflects what you've been studying and your abilities. Okay. Esther, I think if you've got some dates on the next slide for us. So as we know, all the UCAS applications, there are various deadlines that need to be met. The majority of students are going to be aiming for that 14th of January 2026 deadline, but there will be some students who are going for the earlier Oxbridge or Dentistry Medicine deadline, which is the 15th of October. We do have some internal deadlines so that we can make sure that we can provide the predicted grades, the reference and the support for those students in order to meet the UCAS deadlines. So what we mean by those NEC deadlines is that's when we need to see your assignments completed and marked by, and also when we need your request form in for those NEC services. So we have the 15th of September and the 14th of December respectively. Now, we always try to be as helpful as possible and as flexible as possible, but we do have to have a nominal deadline in there to make sure that we can help you with those applications. What I would say is if you've got any questions or you're worried about any of those deadlines and the work that needs to be done by them, then please do get in contact with us either on our student support address, or we have a dedicated ucas@nec.ac.uk address that you can contact me on. I think, Esther, that was the end of the bits from me. So.
Yeah, thank you very much. So Gemma's just going to load her slides up. We'll share the contact information at the end as well, so that if you have got any questions, but I can see some questions coming in, so that's wonderful. Thank you. I think we'll come back to that. Oh yes, actually we'll answer that now, if that's okay, Kirsten. So additional charge, predicted grades and feedback for learners completing 3 A levels with you.
Yes, so we do have a charge. So if it's just predicted grades that a student needs, that's £20, and that covers up to 3 A levels. Reference as well, if they want a predicted grade and reference package, then that would be £60, and that does cover all the 3 A levels too. So, and the personal statement review service is £45.
Thank you. We try to keep our fees, because we are a not-for-profit, we're a charity, we try to keep our fees as low as possible to support everybody being able to ensure that they get access. Shall we carry on just with these questions while you're getting your slides sorted, Gemma? Brilliant.
I've hit the buttons. I'm just waiting for the slides to pop up.
Excellent. Thank you. Is the personal statement review service included in the fast track course?
Hi, Ryan. No, so the predicted grades and the reference service are included with the fast track courses, but the personal statement review is an additional fee.
Thank you. Brilliant. Good questions. Thank you so much, everybody. Should we finish off this one and then we'll pause on the questions so Gemma can start her section? Thank you. Hi, Kirsten. The next question.
So hi, Helen. So the assignment. So the majority of our courses, the A-level courses, have 10 assignments. Varies occasionally, but the majority of them have 10 assignments for the full A-level. So in order to request predicted grades or academic comments, we ask that you have completed assignments 1 through 5. So the first half of the course.
Super. Thank you very much. It's really important, that aspect. So it means that the tutor can give you as valid comments and credible comments as possible. And it really sort of enforces the integrity of our predicted grades that we offer to universities, which is really important, that we've seen a good amount of your work and that you're performing at your best, which is really important as well. Brilliant. So please keep the questions coming, but we'll move on to Gemma's slides now. If that's okay, Gemma.
Of course. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Gemma.
Okay, so hi everyone. As Esther's really kindly already introduced me, I'm Gem. I work at the University of East Anglia. Now, just before I jump into my slides, and thank you so much to Esther for obviously inviting me today, and for her colleagues for helping set this up and all the technical side of things, which I'm not particularly great at. Fantastic questions in the chat so far. I really wanted to just express that although I work at a university, my role is in outreach. So I'm a huge fan of helping people establish their dreams, and wanting to go to university might be something that a lot of people want to do, but not necessarily know how to navigate. And colleagues like myself in outreach are there to help people get into university generally. Obviously, I'm an expert of UEA. I work there. I studied there. I still study there. but there are multiple universities that have the sort of support mechanisms that I'll be discussing over the next few slides. But ultimately, if you've got any questions, really welcome them. So please keep them coming. There is no such thing as a silly question in our world. In my presentation slides, I'm going to be covering the types of support offered by universities. I'll be using UEA obviously as a case study because it's the one that I know best, but a lot of universities will work ruthlessly essentially to support students in continuing on their programmes and to get a good outcome from their degree as well, so they can go on to the careers that they're hoping to do. So we'll talk a bit about that. We'll talk about ways that you can prepare for degree level study. Now, at this point in your educational journey, that might feel like a long way off, but ultimately the beauty in today's session is that you can come back and review it at a later point. And obviously, you know that you can speak to me or other people at other universities to find out a little bit more about the things that you need to make informed decisions about your future. So on that note, I'll be then signposting you where you can look for further information in the future as it feels relevant. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to say, hopefully you can see this slide okay, I'll talk you through it. A lot of universities will have a sort of open door, front-facing aspect to them. For UEA, we have something called the Student Information Zone, or the ZIZ, because we love making everything an acronym. We love to answer queries from people who pop and see us in person. They can call us, they can live chat with us, or emails. There's a lot of different flexible ways that universities can be contacted if you have questions. That could be on anything like, where is this room? To I have a problem with my flat on campus, my sink isn't draining, to how do I apply for an extension on a piece of work because something's happened in my personal life. They're literally a direct service that can help students to navigate all of the support available, because as we've already kind of established with the UCAS process, like when you go to a new place and start learning, you have to learn how they teach, how they do things and where things are. And, you know, we want to make that as easy as possible for people. So within UEA, we are part of the Student Journey and Support Services Department. They house all of the teams relating to our student services, which includes disability, our wellbeing teams, our learning and teaching service, which has now just become UEA Registry over the last few weeks, and our student life team as well. These are all teams that have names that might not mean very much to people. So again, this is where the Student Information Zone can help unpick actually what you want and how to triage you to the most appropriate service. And actually everything that they do, every ounce of what they breathe is based on how students feedback their needs and obviously the changing needs of people as they're going through their studies. Career services are a huge benefit to universities. It's something that you can access usually for free to ensure that you are working towards your intended goal if you do have a career in mind. I'm going to be very open and say that sometimes my career plans change on a weekly, monthly basis. But when I went to uni for my undergraduate studies, I had absolutely no idea what I wanted to do with my degree. I just knew that I wanted to study that subject. And actually the careers team can not only give you advice, but they can support you with things like finding part-time work, getting an internship so you can try things out before committing to a particular career path. They can give you advice on placements if you're doing a course that has a placement year or a placement element that you have to find yourself. And just in brackets here, I'm going to say, if you're doing an allied health course, they're usually incorporated as part of your program, but not all courses do. And obviously, that careers advice can continue after you graduate as well. So at UEA, that's for up to 3 years after you've graduated from your course. So if you start a job after you complete your degree, for example, and decide maybe a year in that it doesn't really fit you as well as you thought it would, that you've still got the capacity to go back and gain that support and advice. And then finally, we have a library and learning enhancement service. They support pretty much everything related to the academic parts of learning. And at university, as we've sort of alluded to already, there'll be newer things to sort of navigate. For example, the college that I went to before going to university had a really impressive library, but the library at UEA has literally millions of books and resources, which I got, it was like a child in a sweet shop. It's just a little bit difficult to navigate sometimes. So there are teams of people that can help you learn how to utilize the spaces in the library, find access to things, learn how to reference. Not only that, but you can learn how to use tools like reference managers to make your life easier as you go through your studies. And these are the kinds of teams that can help you sort of hone in on your study technique and really refine them. So all of the fantastic stuff that you'll be taught through NEC can then be picked up and continued at a university level. Okay. Just a note before I move forward to say that the language that I've used on this slide is quite relevant to UEA. The team names and department names and all of those types of things will vary by university. But by going to things like open days, by engaging with any universities that you are hoping to study at in the future, you will gain insight in terms of how they each structure their support service and the types of services that they provide. Okay. Now, in terms of socialising, and I'm asked about this quite a lot by mature students, some of whom are really keen on networking and meeting new people, others who might just be at university for study-related purposes only. But either way, there is something pretty much for everybody. So a lot of universities, particularly if you're on the transition to university, so at the moment we've got 2 weeks before our new term starts, we've got multiple student WhatsApp groups being set up, lots of social media pages that our marketing team manage at the university, and they're basically there to help people connect with one another before they start on courses, meet in residences. We have things for commuting students, for example, as well as mature students, as well as particular welcome activities. So there's a lot going on. So again, this is just a nice way of people being able to network with each other before they actually physically start university. Also, and again, this might not be relevant for you at this point in time, but as you approach the start of university, you'll find that the communications being sent to you will increase, but they'll become more specific in terms of anything that you might need to do. For example, if you're moving to go to university, you might be signposted to a doctor's surgery to register at, and things like that, really, really practical things. But again, universities are very, very aware and open to conversations with people as well. So again, if you've got questions throughout the transition period, do not sit quietly, ask them, because again, they're there to help you. And then looking at information about the other sort of social bits and pieces that are offered through the student union. So ours is called UEA Student Union, or because we love an acronym, UEASU. There are lots of different clubs and societies you can try out. I think there's about 200 clubs and societies we have at the moment. That's a lot. So you can try things out before you commit to anything. You can try out new sports. Our student union also hosts a buddy scheme. So that's where we match current students with new students to help them with the transition. So for example, if you're quite an anxious person like myself, I don't really like going to things on my own, I could contact a buddy and say, hey, I want to go to the sports fair on Tuesday. I haven't got anyone to go with. Can you meet me? And that's their role, is to sort of help encourage these kinds of participations. Esther.
Gemma, I just wanted to interrupt you briefly, but I think this really relates to the question we've had in. So that buddy system, I think, is one of those options that would help with that transition. Is anything
Absolutely.
else you could add to that?
Yeah, I definitely can. So I think this is a really common query, particularly for people who are neurodivergent. I'm neurodivergent myself, just if you haven't already noticed, but ultimately a lot of universities will have specific provision for students that have ASD. So at UEA, for example, we've got an autism spectrum group, and that is facilitated by one of our wellbeing advisors. So students can meet with other students that have a similar diagnosis. And ultimately, we've got a disability service as well who can essentially speak to you and manage that transition with you as well. This works and is complemented quite nicely by the Buddy scheme, but it's a bit more dedicated because actually, for example, we would get in touch with your daughter and perhaps yourself as well to arrange that initial conversation prior to joining the university about how to support your daughter's needs, things that we should look out for. All of these things are then posed as reasonable adjustments that are then taken through into the teaching. So Esther, I haven't told you, but I started teaching last year as well. So I teach in the School of Education at UEA alongside my role, only for a few hours a week. But it's been really fantastic to see the type of approach that we're given as academics in terms of supporting people. And in my group, I had 2 people who were on the spectrum, both very, very different people. But again, ultimately, we knew in advance to not call on them in lesson, for example, or if we needed to raise something with them, that we gave them a heads up in advance. And there were some really practical suggestions that we put in place. So ultimately, what I would suggest in terms of what to do next, if you are considering universities, is go to an open day. If you have specific institutions in mind, make sure that you make a beeline for the support services to find out the range of support that your daughter would have. And also chat, for example, if it's accommodation that she was hoping to move into, sort of to see whether there are quieter flats, for example, if she sounds sensitive or needs a quiet space to decompress or anything along those lines. Again, they will accommodate based on the adjustments that they're able to accommodate for your daughter, or for anyone essentially. But yeah, that's the main advice I'd give you is essentially open those conversations early, see where your daughter feels comfortable, and where it feels right for her.
Thank you, Gemma.
I don't think, the diagnosis definitely doesn't hopefully need to hinder her moving into.
Hopefully that's answered Helen's question a little bit as well, which was on a similar vein. And I just say personally, my son went to UEA and was incredibly well supported by all the teams there and is now graduated. So a great outcome from his perspective, but he had a very well supported journey through university as well. So great. Do you want to move on to the next section? But please keep the questions coming and we can come back to this topic at the end. Yeah.
Thank you for flagging those. I haven't seen those in the comments. But yeah, no, as I say, I think we've been joking about this a bit, like within some of the student groups that I work with, because more and more of the mature students that I work with are now learning that they're neurodivergent as well. It is, quite commonplace in higher education. So ultimately, ways to prepare, and hopefully this will give you, Helen and the other lovely person who asked the question there, some ways of preparing on a really practical level, particularly if like me, you like to have that really practical information up front. So again, I can't express enough how visiting a university can help give you that sort of pit of your stomach feeling as to whether it's a right environment for you. A lot of universities will also offer online sessions or webinars. So sort of following on from what Kirsten was saying earlier, they will deliver their own personal statement sessions, things on like how to prepare for medical interviews. Like there's a lot of different subject specific as well as university centric sessions that they will offer out. Thank you for confirming that, Mary. It's nice to meet you. But yeah, it gives you a flavour essentially of what that university is offering to you, and what the course might be like as well. I really suggest having a really good read of the course listings as well. So if there is a particular subject or a group of subjects that you're interested in, really get to know the information about that course. How do they teach it? How are they assessing the work on that course? Are those things suited to you? Again, just try and understand everything about it. For allied health professions, medicine, health, there'll be a bit of information, for example, on how they manage placements and how they manage the interview process as well. So there's some really rich information on course listings. And again, if you have any disabilities or diffabilities, as I like to call elements of neurodivergence, or any specific learning differences, please make sure to make the university aware so reasonable adjustments can be put in place, and obviously your learning experience can be made as possible, as comfortable as possible. And obviously the same goes for NEC as well, because they'll support you too. If you are looking at ways of preparing for university, we offer a free course. Again, it's outreach driven, so it's talking very much about the preparation you can put in on an academic level, as well as considering some of those other more social things that we were discussing earlier. There is a QR code on this slide, so if you're unfamiliar with QR codes, you can open the camera up on your camera phone or on your phone if you've got the capacity, and you should be able to scan this. I could drop a link in the comments in a moment as well. But this is a free course. You can download it on an app, and it just essentially talks you through some of the things that you can do to prepare for university, such as consider the way that you might be taking notes, how you might approach a lecture, like a big session that has multiple people in it that covers a lot of different information, how you might want to prepare for those types of things. There's a lot of really rich information in there, essentially. And for students that have completed the Preparing for University course, they found the transition into university a little bit easier because they understood what they needed to do to prepare in advance. So something I really, really recommend people have a look at the very least. Oh, and actually, just before I move forward, just a little note there at the bottom of that photograph to say that for anyone who is maybe torn between subjects, FutureLearn offer free taster sessions, like online short courses. They don't necessarily give you a qualification at the end, but it can give you, again, a bit of a different flavour in terms of how universities or particular courses are taught at higher education level as well. So just, yeah, if you're looking for insight, really, really rich stuff available at your fingertips if you want it to be. Now, just as we come to the end of my section of the slides, and I appreciate it's been a bit of a whirlwind, lots of information. So by all means, very, very happy to be contacted, and you will see my contact information at the end of this slide show. Unibuddy is it's a system that a lot of universities will use to provide a messaging service for people that have questions. It's something that UEA uses. We use it in the form of something called the Ask Us section of our website, but UCAS also host a Unibuddy section as well. So you can go on there and you can chat to students from a range of different universities. But actually you might find that other university websites might have little pop-ups that say, have a question, talk to us. And actually, in some cases, they're actual people, not AI driven. So, for example, if you find my profile that pops up in the corner of a website, then you can send me a direct message. It's the same again there. So it's a really useful system that you can utilize. So as I say, if you want to find more information, if you just want to drop somebody a casual message or something along those lines, then have a look at the university websites to see if there's ways that you can chat to students, or have a look at UCAS. I'm on there, as I've already alluded to, but also we have a wealth of students and academic team members as well who can answer a range of different questions depending on what kind of days do you teach this on, to how much time would I spend in a lab if I studied bio sciences at your university, for example. I know I keep banging the drum about open days, but offer holder days, or we call them applicant days at UEA, they're a fantastic level of insight that usually offer you the subject level insight that you don't get as much of at an open day. A lot of students will come to both. There is no statute and limitations on how many times you visit a university before you go there. So again, Mary, if your daughter has a particular university in mind, visit it a lot, see if it's something that she wants to keep going back to and doing. We have students that will engage with us like 5, 6, maybe more times across a year or 2 years of study before joining the university. And that's fine, we support that. Again, not UEA centric thing. And then finally, there is a fantastic forum online called the Student Room. A lot of universities will have their own student room profiles, but usually it just provides you a good free forum and a space for students to share questions or experiences with each other as well. And there's loads of information on there. I still look at it myself, I must admit, if I'm looking at insight into how a student experiences things, or general answers to a question that, again, only students would know the answer to. So you can get in touch with me, as I mentioned before. Now, on the right-hand side, you can see a little screenshot of me and my face, and a very old photo. And that's what our UniBuddy profiles look like, essentially. So, yeah, ultimately, if you went to the UEA Ask Us pages, that's how you would see myself and my colleagues and student staff on there as well. Thank you for sharing the link to the Student Room, much appreciated. We also have a dedicated mature student platform as well on the UEA website, which you can see the short link to there. My email address is on there. And you can also book in an online virtual support meeting with me directly. So these are 20-minute meetings facilitated on Teams for questions and answers on pretty much anything relating to higher education. But by all means, please do get in touch if there's anything that I've discussed so far with yourselves that you would like to hear more about. Otherwise, thank you.
Thank you, Jem. That's wonderful. As you say, lots of information there, but I think it also shows over the years how much more information is there for a really inclusive accessibility aspect for students coming from a variety of different backgrounds and with different learning needs. So, and I know that's something UEA holds very highly. So it's great sort of recommendation from you and the team with the work you do. So we've had questions throughout, which is wonderful. I'll just pause and see if there's any other questions. But if there's anything else that anybody would want to ask, obviously Gemma has said that she would make sure that she's available. You can book time with her through the UEA platform. Kirsten, anything around the changes to UCAS that you think key things that somebody should be really aware of at the moment when they're looking to develop their personal statements? I know things have changed a little bit, haven't they?
They have changed. I mean, the questions that they're now asking, I think, are going to prove really helpful actually in guiding the students to give the information that universities want to see. So, I mean, in our Applying to University section on our learning platform, we've got guidance as to what universities are expecting to see in response to those questions. The UCAS Hub, again, has plenty of information. They've got sample personal statements that you can view for different types of courses. So initially, I think it's do your research, make sure you've read all the information, and then obviously, get that draft going. It doesn't have to all be in one go. The UCAS website has a personal statement builder tool that you can use, which is really useful, that you can keep coming back to. So you can put in a little bit at a time. If you think of something, write it down, have a notebook with you, just keep those ideas flowing, put them into that builder, and before you know it, you will have a personal statement that you can then refine and hone to your particular application.
Thank you very much. Anything to add, Gemma? You've put a lot in around preparation, research. I think you and Kirsten are aligned with your messaging there. Anything else around that application, which people can get a bit nervous about, can't they? Am I sort of highlighting my skills enough? Am I saying the right things to really sort of get in front of an admissions officer and make sure I'm on the right course and I'm getting the information and putting across in a way that's compelling, really?
Yeah, so I mean, again, I think within the slides mentioning about the webinars and things like that. Again, if you're applying for a really competitive course or university, then your personal statement's going to be a very big hindering aspect of your application process. I'd suggest absolutely signing up for those webinars to get a flavour of what advice those specific universities are giving in relation to personal statements. Some universities might weight them more on admissions than others, for example, for subjects, particularly medicine, dentistry, and veterinary science. For courses like that, and for allied health professions where there are interviews as well, the personal statement can provide a bit of a flavour, like sweetening the pot, essentially, of information that you can further you can extend on within the interview process as well. So you don't have to give them sort of a massive amount of sort of life history within your personal statement. I think the clue is in the name. It needs to be personal to you. It needs to reflect your interest, your passion in the subject, what you're going to bring to the community. It's something that we're really keen on at UEA. What are you going to bring to UEA? Like, you know, what parts of your personality do you want us to know about? You know, we don't want to hear about the things you need to improve on. We want to know what you're good at, you know, and essentially what you're most looking forward to. Yeah, and I'd say just be yourself and don't be afraid to ask any questions. Universities are incredibly happy to hear from people, and they really want to. Essentially, they want to help you. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Gemma, and thank you, Kirsten. So, been sharing lots of links. I think you've passed those on. So, thank you, Gem, and some from the UCAS emails and contact numbers and all different, lots and lots of bits that you can take away. This is available on YouTube, this recording, after we finished. So you could go back and look at it, or if you're watching it on the behalf of someone else, perhaps share it with them so they can have a quick run through. So we'll finish up there. I'd like to thank you, Gem, as always, and some really great questions. So, and I'm sure everybody else listening would have really appreciated those questions being asked and those areas being explored. Thank you, Kirsten. Obviously, you're the person that students who are with us will be emailing and having conversations with on email to help them progress. We've just got one late one in from Peter. That's great, Peter. How does it work when applying to university and also getting predicted grades with NEC in a local college at the same time? Okay, so yes, this often happens with our students. Students may be studying 1 or 2 subjects with us and then studying with a separate organisation. Kirsten, you've done this many times. Do you want to explain how it works?
So yeah, we are happy to work with other organisations. So Peter, it's basically you will need to have a chat to your other provider and decide who you feel is best placed to act as your referee. We are happy to work in conjunction with your other provider. If you're getting predicted grades and reference comments from us, then we can send those to your referee for them to include in their reference, or vice versa. If you decide that you'd like NEC to act as your referee, then we're happy to accept comments from your other provider and a predicted grade that we can then add to our reference and upload alongside ours to your application. So it is definitely possible to incorporate that complexity into the service. So please don't worry about it.
Super. Thank you very much. So you'll be looking out for that email now, won't you, Kirsten? Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you. I'm glad we had time to answer that for you, Peter. So thank you all who've been on the call. Thank you, as always, to Gem, and thank you to Kirsten. And we wish you all the best of luck. And please reach out to any of us if you have any questions. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you, everyone.